Welcome to Season 8 of the Lighting Your Way podcast. Hi, I'm Betty Long, your host, and this season we are giving the microphone to those who matter most, our patients. Join us as they share their personal journeys, offering candid insights into their experiences, challenge, and triumphs. Cancer is a frightening word. For those diagnosed with glioblastoma, one of the most common and most aggressive types of brain cancers, it can be devastating. Approximately 15,000 new cases of glioblastoma are diagnosed every year. Although historically, glios have been uniformly fatal with average survival of only 12 to 15 months, during the past decade there has been a significant increase in survival, reported in many clinical reports and clinical trials, with an increasing number of patients living more than 3 to 5 years. Our episode this week features a conversation with Linda Long, no relation to me, who is a 30-year veteran of the Philadelphia Firefighters Union, Local 22. Linda was diagnosed 3.5 years ago with the glioblastoma. She talks openly about her cancer journey and what keeps her looking forward to the future. Welcome, everyone, to the Lighting Your Way podcast. My name is Betty Long, and today I am talking with Philadelphia Firefighters Local 22 member, Linda Long. Linda, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. I know you're actively getting treatment, so I want to take advantage of the time we have here when you're feeling good. Linda, tell us a little bit about your journey. You've been living with brain cancer for 3.5 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, 3.5 years. I'm very lucky to still be alive, and I've done a lot of treatments. A few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, I had to start treatment again because it kind of grew back a little bit.
Okay. And what kind of brain cancer is it?
Glioblastoma, which is a cancer that's going around the world.
Yeah, there has been rather a lot of that. Tell me, how did you first discover, or how did the doctors first discover that you had it? Were you working at the time?
I was working at the time. I was a Philadelphia firefighter, and I started to have some dizziness and headaches and a few other symptoms. And then I went to different doctors, more doctors, and finally I went to the University of Pennsylvania for a headache. And the amazing doctor there, I have to say, he was completely amazing because I went for a headache.
Okay.
And after I went to see him, he's like, I can't figure out why you have a headache today, but I'm going to send you for a brain test.
Okay.
And as soon as we did that test, he moved me right over to the other part of the hospital, and they started treatment in like a week.
Wow.
It was amazing.
What has been, I guess, you're how old now at this point when you were diagnosed?
When I was diagnosed, I am 60, and I started it when I was like 55, 56.
55, right. Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been, that's for a glioblastoma, that is a long time, as you probably know.
It's a very long time. And my doctor was impressed. In fact, when I went to the other doctor, because I had some growth again, that doctor was like, wow.
Right.
You know, also, the University of Pennsylvania has like a group of people that meet. And some of us last, and some of us have been around for years, and some die quickly.
So tell me about the current treatment plan. You're on a unique device, I think, but did you have surgery for the glioblastoma?
With this glioblastoma, I'm not getting surgery because it's the middle of the ring of my head. So
Okay.
I got radiation,
Okay.
and only 2 months, 2 weeks of radiation, and chemo once a month. It's a different chemo, which seems to
Okay.
be working well. And
Okay.
obviously, the doctor seems to think I have good genes, so I may be alive for another 10 years, 5 or 6 years.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, this is like an interesting gene collection.
Well, there's a lot to be said for genetics, and I know that they're doing a lot of testing, and which is the hope, right, that we can kind of target
Absolutely.
certain cancers genetically and treat them, right, so that the treatment's more effective.
My grandfather and my uncle had this too. Different genetics. They were
Okay.
exposed to different stuff, World War II, because they had everything tested, so my kids could know. But different genetics. It's, yeah,
Well, we
so
all
many
have
people.
right. Yeah, we all have different genes, right?
Right.
So what have been so you were introduced to this device, it's the Optune device? Am I
Yes.
saying that correctly? Okay.
It could
When
change.
did the doctor suggest that you wear it?
I would say as soon as I had my first surgery, when I got done the first surgery, the doctor brought it up, like the chemo doctor, because
Okay.
it was kind of newish in the area, but
Right.
she suggested that I try it, and I was like, hey, I'll try everything.
Right. So what does it
Optune,
look like? What's it like? Do you have to wear it all the time? Can you explain
I,
what it is?
I wear it most of the time. Now I just put it back on last week because I couldn't really wear it with treatment in the hospital and stuff. It was a
Okay.
little too much. But I wear it 24 hours a day pretty much. I'll take it off every 2 or 3 days, couple hours, let me get some fresh air.
Mhm.
Now, let you continue your questions. So,
Have you I mean are you experiencing any side effects with this device?
I'm there's no side effects because
Okay.
basically it's stickers that you wear around and it produces a little bit of electricity. So, yes, your head is hot and your backpack is hot, but there's no real side effects.
Wow.
I've never
That's
had
pretty that's pretty good. How about with the chemo? Have you had any significant side effects with that?
so with this chemo, I've done two levels of it. I'm going to cross my fingers and say I haven't had any side effects with it.
Okay. Good.
The chemo
That's great.
I would take for a week, and that was uncomfortable. I would get you get sick to your stomach.
Mm.
You lose a lot of thinking, like your
Okay.
brain kind of shuts off.
Okay.
So basically, it works is for me is you're taking it for 4 weeks. So the first 2 weeks are just kind of like tiring, and
Yeah.
then after that, you get like a week or two where you can do a fair amount.
Okay. So tell me what activities or like how have you maintained your quality of life during this 3.5 years?
So I would say I was very lucky because I had side effects and I walked slow, but over the 3.5 years, I was able to work up to walking like a couple miles a week.
Wow.
And yeah, I know it took a while to get there, like maybe 2 or 3 years to get to that point. And then I started driving too, mostly just in the neighborhood
Okay.
or to see my.
To see your grandchildren?
Oh yeah, and making jewelry. Made a lot of jewelry and had a little store with jewelry in it. So hopefully I'll get back to that. Yeah, I got to see my grandchildren lived in Hong Kong, so
Oh,
I didn't get to see them the first few years. So my grandchildren moved back from Hong Kong, and it was a beautiful day, Christmas. I was staying with a friend of mine. It's a long story, but my ex-husband and my husband and some other people, they were like, "Oh, come over for Christmas." And I was like, "No, nobody's really here. Your kids aren't here. My kids aren't here." And they said, "Oh, you have to come over." And then I went over and hung over, and my grandchildren came over.
They surprised you?
Right? Yes. Yep.
Wow, that's quite a surprise. Yikes.
It was quite a surprise. And then, like, a lot more people showed up, and I was like, wow, there's kind of a lot of people here. And they walked in the front. I think I couldn't even talk.
Well, I know that the firefighters have a wonderful family, right? I mean, you all consider yourselves family. I know my brother was a firefighter. So has the community of firefighters in Local 22 been helpful in this journey?
Well, the firefighter that's here right now just came to check on me and bring me things.
A visiting firefighter.
Yeah. Yeah, they come and check on me almost every day.
How long were you a firefighter? What was your career
So
like?
I was over 30 years with Philadelphia, and then before that I was a volunteer, partially paid firefighter in Montgomery County.
Wow. Wow, that's quite a 30 years. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. So besides the firefighters, what are there any other resources or networks that you've been kind of plugged into through this journey?
Well, I think the company that you work for has been pretty amazing too. The Guardian Nurses, because
Thank you.
like you, especially both of the surgeries, like they would come to the hospital with me and help me understand what they were saying. They would help my significant other understand what was going on. I mean, yeah, they would, especially both of them did it, but they would come to appointments with and help me understand what was happening and what would be next. I would say especially, I had 2 surgeries the first time, and the first surgery I got very confused for that 6 weeks. And then after the second, I got a bit less confused. You know, it kind of did what I'm doing now. Different chemo, but also different care every day.
I'm sure through this time, Linda, you've had days where you've been pretty low and days you've been pretty high, depending on how the treatment's going. But how do you, what's your support network? Do you see or talk with a therapist, or do you have a best friend who can get you through those days? What's that look like?
So I have a therapist, and I will tell you, when I started with the therapist after the first surgery, we'd only do like 15 minutes. So I will see him again soon. But honestly, the second time around, I don't really get depressed because I remember the first time around wasn't that bad. Like, I went for chemo and radiation again, and I was like, oh, okay. It's, it's only 3-4 weeks of chemo.
Okay.
And then just, wow.
And what about the wearing the device? Like, does the company that, because you're is it a clinical trial that you're in?
I work for the company, but it's like a little side part of the company that I started last year too, because I think it's so it's like a separate company, but I go to meetings and I talk to people about how it works for me.
Oh,
how it
great.
works for other people. You know, how to wear it, the side
Okay.
effects. So I started that like about a year ago. I had to
Okay.
stop because of treatment, but I'll probably go back with them.
So they're pretty supportive of their patients, I'm going to guess, and certainly would probably love having you on the speaker circuit, I'm sure.
I speak fairly well, probably because I was a firefighter and did it a lot. And but really, I wanted to be with it because they meet with new people that are trying it or that are
Okay.
thinking about trying. So I don't mind speaking to them for an hour.
Yeah. Do you know if the Optune device is used in other sorts of brain cancer, like astrocytoma, or is it just a glioblastoma?
Not used in any other brain cancers, but they are starting to use it, and I think it's in neck cancer.
Interesting. Okay.
I can't give you 100% information, but it does seem to help you living longer.
Right. Do you feel? Do you feel? I mean, you said it feels hot. Is there any impact on your memory or your vision or anything? It just doing its
Uh,
job silently.
that part does its job silently. I mean, once in a while it's in like the wrong place or it
Hmm.
gets too, might zap you a little, means it's time to change it.
Okay. And change means the electrodes that you're wearing. Okay.
Yeah, because it gets, and then it's got electrodes
Yeah.
and
Besides
electric.
the speaking for the Optune company, have you become involved in any advocacy efforts like at Penn? Are you speaking to patients down there at all?
I have spoken to several patients, but not officially, because
Okay.
sometimes they talk to patients and patients are like, absolutely not. And they'll be
Okay.
like, well, would you talking to this woman? And some patients don't have a problem with that, but
Yeah.
some of them are angry because they haven't told their spouse because they don't
Oh.
want this.
Oh.
It's very, yeah, that was very interesting. Like, oh, I'm just telling you, you could try it for a couple months, and nope,
Right.
don't want to try it.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and then,
when you were diagnosed, how did they approach you?
so when I was diagnosed, my doctor just approached. I mean, I got the paperwork to
Right.
show me what a couple months before, but then my doctor also said I should give it a try because it was kind of new to the University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
New, but newish. And they said, "Oh, you might want to try this." And I was like, "Of course, I want to try it." And I'm also involved with a fundraiser. Will happen again in a couple weeks for cancer, for this kind of cancer. That
And
will be,
is the fundraiser for research for glioblastoma?
yep, it's glioblastoma research.
Great.
So they do like a walk and a talk and play some music and talk to patients. That you'll see patients there that have been alive for years.
So when you look back over your journey with this glioblastoma, like almost 4 years now, is there anything you wish you had known at the beginning of it?
I probably wish I had known that I was going to live so long because initially they were like, oh, you might have 6 months, you might have 7 months, you might have a year. We don't know. Like, what do you plan to do? And I was like, I don't know if I can plan everything I want that fast.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I've been
So
able
so
to,
when you think about that, right? Like that's certainly a reasonable because true to your point, Linda, that glioblastomas are, the life expectancy is pretty short, right? 2 years,
right,
18 months. Um,
right,
and so they're encouraging you to get your affairs in order, I'm sure.
exactly. Get your will done, get your affairs in order. you know, pick a trip.
Have you taken a trip?
I've been in a lot of trips.
So
You know,
what are you looking forward to now? Where would you like to go, or what are you planning on doing?
so I'm going to go to Iceland again because I want to go with my daughter. I want to go to Alaska.
Oh, okay.
Grandchildren.
You're a cold weather person.
Uh,
Iceland and Alaska. I'm looking, for something a little more, a little warmer.
oh yeah, but I wear a heater all the time. So my
Oh,
daughter and
right. You got a heater right on your head.
and my daughter and I keep arguing because she's like, "Well, I want to go here," and I'm like, "Sorry, I'm not going there."
I can't
I
go
don't
any
need.
place above 80 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, so I have a friend that lives in southwest area, and yeah, Arizona. I've been to her house a couple times, but I usually go
Okay.
there, and
Yeah,
I've
go
been
there
to
in the winter, right?
yeah, and I've also just went to southeast Pennsylvania, and I've been to so many different places. Yeah, I mean I
That's
traveled
great.
a lot. Yeah, and I'm lucky because I have friends that are either close to retiring or retired, and they'll go with me.
Great.
Like
Even
it's
better. Who
beautiful.
wants to go alone, right?
Exactly.
So again, looking back, I mean, you have almost 4 years to look back. What message or insights would you like to share with our listeners? Maybe some of whom have someone in their family with the glio. What would you like to share with them?
I think the thing I would like to share with them the most is that we seem to be living longer than we did in the past with this
Okay.
kind of cancer. And part of it is Optune, part of it is the treatments, part of it is people's attitudes. Because some people and part of the reason I started the other job is some people just read the history of what happens to people with it. And then they're like, well, I'm not going to try that because I'm just going to die. And it seems that some people faster just from that kind of attitude.
I think that attitude certainly plays a role in someone's, I guess, disposition, right? Or when they
Right.
look at treatment. I know that I'm sure Alonda, who's there with you as your nurse advocate, can speak to it as can I. That a lot of times patients, to your point, right? They either take the dark road or take the high road, and we
Exactly.
wish that they would. Yeah, we wish that they would be more optimistic. But again, if the healthcare system is sharing with patients who have a glio that you're likely, your life expectancy is the average is 2 years, then you're not offering people a lot of hope.
But 2 years is way longer than it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Because it used to be 6 months, 1 year.
Right.
So
Right.
and I do follow research too that's being done on it with different medications. So hopefully
Okay.
they keep moving it forward.
Well, that's the point of fundraisers, right? And the point of hopefully federal dollars going into research for cancer of all kinds, right? And we've come a long way with certain cancers, certain not so much, right? So we got to keep working. But
Right.
hopefully, with patients like you willing to take the Optune device and wear it and see the success that you've had, that's certainly encouraging, at least for me. I'm sure for a lot of people listening. So, thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to say that I haven't asked?
I don't think so. That was a nice conversation.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you very much for taking the time, and I hope that your treatment continues and that you get to go to Iceland.
I hope so too.
Again, Linda, a pleasure to talk with you, and thank you for taking the time. Thank you for joining us this week. You can find the Lighting Your Way podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Stitcher. If you found our conversation helpful, please share it with your friends and leave us a review. You can learn all about how Guardian Nurses helps patients and their families when they need it most at our website, guardiannurses.com. So until next time, find some joy in your life and pet all the good doggies and kitties, and remember to tell your people that you love them.